So in this video, I'm going to share with you some secrets about the Lower East Side in Manhattan. So the Lower East Side is a trendy neighborhood known for its nightlife and its live music scene. But there's more to the neighborhood than meets the eye. So I'm going to tell you some things that you probably don't know about the neighborhood in this video. To this day, a real live speakeasy exists in the neighborhood. You guys may or may not be familiar with a little speakeasy called the Back Room. Actually, I take that back. It's not really little because it's pretty big for a speakeasy, honestly. So the Back Room was a speakeasy during the Prohibition, and it still exists to this exact day. And think about the name, the Back Room. It was like, meet me in the back room, because it was like literally like they were hiding the bar. It's crazy. If you visit this bar, you will soon realize that it was a real life speakeasy because it takes a little bit of time to find the bar, like to actually figure out where it is. I remember the first time I went there, I was literally like confused on where to go. I was like, oh, is it this turn, that turn? Like they literally hid it in the back room. So if you guys have seen any of my other videos about speakeasies specifically in Manhattan, there's a lot of controversy about them nowadays because a lot of bars like to call themselves a speakeasy and there's nothing secret, hidden, or even mysterious about them, honestly. It's kind of like an excuse. I feel like people put that as part of their brand, literally just so they can charge more money for cocktails, to be honest with you. But there are some speakeasies in Manhattan that really do truly feel like speakeasies, and the Back Room is definitely one of them. I don't know if they still do this, but they used to do this. They used to actually give you a beverage like in a paper bag because you were like hiding that you were drinking a beverage, like to give you the full experience of what Prohibition was like, which is kind of wild to think about it. So when you're stepping into this bar, you're literally stepping into a piece of history, which I think is so cool. You may have heard of the Tenement Museum in the Lower East Side. This museum was created to honor the tenement buildings that existed in this neighborhood. Now, tenement buildings weren't exclusive to the Lower East Side, but so many of them existed in the Lower East Side when the Lower East Side was still being developed. So many immigrants from Europe were coming to New York City for the first time, and they were moving into the Lower East Side in these buildings. These buildings were known for being run down, overcrowded, and just not well kept. And the museum to this day actually shows you what a apartment looked like during that time in tenement buildings. So it's kind of wild if you think about it. And this is something that I think that every New Yorker should see at some point in their life. So when you walk around the Lower East Side, you might notice that there's a lot of street art in the neighborhood. I want to say it's kind of like a part of the neighborhood at this point. A lot of this street art was created by the famous artist Banksy, who is an English-based street artist. You're not just looking at anybody's like graffiti or anything like that. Like you're looking at literal street art by a street artist. Only in New York City can you be honored as a street artist. Like how cool is that? It really does add to like the edgy vibe of the neighborhood, especially when you know who is behind it. So you may be familiar with the Essex Street Market, and it is a food hall now in the Lower East Side. But that's not the real Essex Street Market. Essex Street Market used to exist back in the day in the Lower East Side, and it was actually in a different location, but it was a big market where people would just get their local goods. So it was a staple of the neighborhood. Have you ever heard of a bathhouse before? I think the whole concept of bathhouses are so strange, but the first one ever in the United States existed in this neighborhood. Now, these were really common in the 19th century, and the first public bathhouse opened up on Mott Street in 1852. And today, the structure still exists, but it is now a church. The weird thing is that bathhouses still kind of exist in New York City. Like the concept is still there. So if you Google hard enough, you will find bathhouses in New York City. Of course, they're more like a spa at this point, but they're kind of like honoring history, which is kind of interesting if you think about it. So those are 5 secrets about the Lower East Side. So if you guys have any other secrets that you want to share about the Lower East Side, or have things that you're curious about the neighborhood, let me know in the comments because as always, I love hearing from you guys.